Epididymis and Vas Deferens are the two organs which are included in the category of the internal structures of the male productive system. So epididymis is a superficial structure located on the testes and helps in the storage of the sperm cells. And Vas deferens is the tube located inside the male pelvis. So in this section, we'll be studying in detail about the parts of the epididymis in detail. We'll be studying about the vas deferens as well. The part of the vas deferens, which is the ampulla, will be discussed here. The function of that ampulla will also be discussed in this section. Now, epididymis. So basically, epididymis is a single coil tube. As you can see here in this picture, that this is a single but very long coil tube, and it is highly coil tubular structure. This epididymis is a very coiled structure. The length is almost about 6 meters long. So just the length of this epididymis is 6 meters long, which is located on the superficial surface of the testes, located on the superior as well as on the posterior margins of the testes. And then it has a few parts. So it is divided into 3 parts. It has a head, it has a body, and it has a tail. So you can see these 3 parts. Now talking about the head, it receives the afferent ductus from the testes. So these ducts are coming from the testes into the head region. Now this body is located between the head and the tail region, and the tail is in continuous with the vas deferens. So the other structure comes after the epididymis. Epididymis is the vas deferens. So what we studied about the epididymis is that it is a highly coiled tubular structure which is almost about 6 meters long, and it is located on the superior and the posterior margins of the testes. It has 3 parts, which is the head, body, and the tail. So you can see here in this picture as well that we have the head of the epididymis located here. This complete region is the body of the epididymis, and this is the tail of the epididymis. Now, head of epididymis is going to be receiving the efferent ductules from the testes. So you can see that this seminiferous tubules are entering into the in the form of the efferent ducts into the head of the epididymis, and then via all this crossing all this part, this long structure, it is ending up here in the form of the tail of the epididymis, and it continues here with the vas deferens. This is the complete it's again a tubular structure, but it's big as compared to that of the epididymis. The functions include the secretion and absorption of the nourishing fluid. The purpose of this epididymis is majorly the storage site of the sperms, and it recycles the damaged spermatozoas and stores the spermatozoas up to 2 weeks to allow for the maturation. So spermatozoas which are being produced inside these testes, the seminiferous tubules, which are then entered into epididymis, and they are remaining here for about 2 weeks for the maturation process, to allow for the maturation of the sperms. So the first function is causing the secretion and absorption of the nourishing fluid, recycles some damaged spermatozoa. If some of the sperms are getting damaged, so it functions into recycling of that damaged spermatozoa. Along with that, storage of that spermatozoa for about 2 weeks until the maturation time. Then talking about the vas deferens. Now, vas deferens is basically a muscular tube of 45 centimeters long. You can see here, this is the testes, this is the region of scrotum. Inside it, we have the testes, the pair of the testes, then the epididymis, and it continues here with the vas deferens. So see this arrangement here, this vas deferens is covering all this region and then entering into the seminal vesicle, which then enters into prostate gland, and then it's, there's a very great combination of all these structures with each other. So now this vas deferens is almost about 45 centimeters long, and it carries the sperms. So the purpose of this tube is to carry the sperms from epididymis to the pelvic cavity to the penis region, to the external genitalia, you can say. Then it passes through the inguinal canal and it crosses the ureter, and the terminal part is then dilated. So we have the Vas deferens here, which is a muscular tube of about 45 centimeters long. It carries the sperms from epididymis to the pelvic cavity to the external genitalia. So it is passing through the inguinal region, where we have the inguinal canal is located. So this inguinal region is crossed by this vas deferens, and it is going to be crossing the ureter, then entering into the terminal part, which is the external genitalia. So then, talking about the ampulla of the vas deferens, you can see in this picture that this is the vas deferens coming down, and here we have the ampulla of the vas deferens. It joins the ducts of the seminal vesicles. So this ampulla is joining with the ducts of the seminal vesicles. So these are the small vesicles, helps in the release of seminal fluid. So they are joining the duct of the seminal vesicles, and they forms the ejaculatory duct, which opens into the prostatic urethra. This is the prostatic gland, prostatic urethra you can call it, and some of the ejaculatory ducts are then here opening into this prostatic urethra. So this is how these structures are interrelated with each other. So from the testes, we have the epididymis, and then epididymis we have the vas deferens. That vas deferens is entering here or joining with these seminal vesicles, and then through ejaculatory ducts it is opening up into the prostatic urethra, and then comes the glands here. So the glands involves the seminal vesicles, the bulbourethral or the Cooper's gland, and the prostate gland. So these are the three glands located here. You can see in this portion that we have the seminal vesicles. Behind that we have the we've studied that the vas deferens is coming and joining with these vesicles, these seminal vesicles, and from here the accessory glands begin. Then we have this prostate gland, and below that we have a very small amount, P-shaped form of this gland, the bulbourethral gland. The functions of this accessory glands is to cause the secretion of the seminal fluid. The major purpose for this accessory glands, the name indicates they are glands, so hence they are helpful in the release of the seminal fluid, nourishing or the activation of the sperms, and then the protection of sperm is also the function of these vesicles or these glands. So they have to be secreting the seminal fluid. They are helpful in causing the nourishing and activation of the sperms, and then causing the protection of the sperms. So this was about section 3. Here we've studied in detail about the epididymis, which we've studied that it is located on the superficial and posterior margins of the testes, and the purpose of the functions of the epididymis, then how it is continuous with the vas deferens and the purpose of the vas deferens, and then how it ends up and then we briefly studied about the accessory glands, the 3 accessory glands in detail. I hope it is really clear to you now. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.